All right. We got some stuff to do. Kia! And if we get all of this done quickly, which I doubt. I'm doubting the speed here. Basically, we want to do this. Which I do think is going to involve some kind of shader here. Maybe Drucci. We got to pick a color. For the disc itself. We got a bunch of things to do. I think step one. Where'd my white go? Where's my pro acryl? Yeah, worst case scenario, we finish all this up. I've got a boatload of endless spells I can put together. Because I actually got my hands on the Universal box. The thing is like 160 bucks online. We found it at a Gundam store. Not even kidding. Where's my Pro Acryl White? Like, actually, I'm pretty sure I left my Pro Acryl White out. And now I don't see it anywhere. That's not good. It's actually really not good. Where the hell is it? Am I blind? Oh yeah, I'm blind. I'm blind. It's all good, everyone. Just blind. That's all. Yeah, man. They were fun to paint so far because they're super quick. I decided the lazy man method. Pretty much all of these guys. Let me hit the robe with a final touch up. But yep. Did a Spearhead tournament. Death is really strong in a Spearhead. I mean, Raven Guard, saying Raven Guard is only like half the story, right? Like, is it Raven Guard and they leaned into all the speed that they can get? Or is it like Raven Guard because they enjoy the paint scheme? And the reality is you're basically going to be playing something else completely. I feel like you, against an army that's quick, you meet them with similar speed and aggression. So maybe World Eaters. I feel like World Eaters will be the only choice there, I guess. Although I will say, because World Eaters were one of the later codexes released, it was really strong. So depending on what models you have, the person might complain that you're playing a little meta. Do Vulpus Pink. They're fairly all right in melee normally. You just got to find the right moment. Melee's hard. Melee's like been universally hard to like do. Although I do kind of feel like a lot of people that were complaining about melee in 10th weren't doing it right, because melee's apparently super strong in 10th right now. Like, having decent melee and then getting them into combat is super strong, and it's kind of easy with how the current meta works because of how the terrain is placed. Terrain makes it so that friggin' melee is just like, yeah, I'm gonna be in melee soon, hang on. Like, that is just, it feels like that. You have to know how to counter it with ranged, which usually means you can't do anything with ranged for a while. Oh, 650? God, you guys play at such weird ratings. Like, I don't know how to gauge a 650. Both World Eaters and Death Guard feel like they would not like less than 1.5. It's the problem of elite armies at low quality stuff. I mean, that's why the Raven Guard are probably going to do really well, is because they have access to like lighter armor units that are way cheaper. Well, I mean, then play what you want. Play what you want to at least learn the units you have, I guess, at that point. Because you're not going to have a fun time with Death Guard, in my opinion. What is this? Is this burgundy? No, it is Vulpus. Oh no, it doesn't feel like pink. Like, it is hard. Anytime a tournament comes up that's like, yo, under 2,000 points, I never feel good about taking my 1,000 Suns or my Knights. Because I know I'm going to have next to no ability to, like, stop stuff from happening. I'm pretty much going to be at my the whims of my opponent if they're a smaller army, just because they'll have more tools for mechanics. And I won't have enough firepower to keep wiping them out. You guys just want to play at the 600 point range? Because, I mean, if you've got Death Guard at 1,000, I feel like you could just play at 1,000. Because at the very least, maybe you've got something in there at 1,000 points. It's hard when you don't have a giant collection to, like, play small scale. It's like a weird thing. The core a lot of people get into of the game is to go, all right, well, I want to play 2K, so I'm going to make a 2K list, and then we're just going to call it. And they don't collect anything more than their 2K list, which means there's almost no wiggle room for a smaller scale game. Because usually units you take to a 2K, you might not take to a 1K. Like, I imagine the way Chaos fights at 1K is more cultists than you would expect. That way you've got just the sheer volume of mechanical units to handle stuff. But I only have 3 squads of cultists, so, like, maybe? These are Tzeentch demons. They can be used for 1,000 Suns, which that is my army of choice. But they can also be used as demons alone, and these are also for Disciples of Tzeentch in Age of Sigmar, which is what I play in Age of Sigmar, because I am a Tzeentch fanatic. I love me some burbs. Burbs! They're definitely fun. I enjoy them for what they're worth. They're not always the best. They're not always the worst. And at the very least, in a game, they can be very surprising. The person I'm playing against, there's things I can do with the 1,000 Suns that people go like, oh, I didn't expect that. And I love that about them. It's kind of like gotcha, but at the same time, I'll let people know what I could do. It's that situation of mentality, right? Where I can tell you, oh, these people have a teleport scroll. And you're like, all right, cool, they can teleport. And then I go, yep. And then I tell you about all the different points functions that I can have for, like, my secondary point system. And you're like, cool, you can do a bonus move in the shooting phase. That's cool. But then when you see it come together, when you see me teleport within 9 inches of a unit and then double move the unit 12 inches because it's a 12-inch move unit, and then body block your entire army for a turn, you're like, oh, I did not foresee this. And I'm like, yep. You had all the knowledge. You had all the tools. You still did not see it coming. And that's my favorite part about Tzeentch. It's the you did not see it coming army. Oh, dude, I've got 5K Thousand Suns, and that includes, I think if I include the allies, it goes to 6. Because I've got knights to go into them. I've got demons to go into them. Being able to pick and choose is great. It allows you to really, like, kind of tailor to the tournament. Depending on what it is. Because we have a couple tournaments local that occasionally happen that are designed exclusively for, like, new players. Probably one of my favorite rules to put into play to try to prevent list metaing to at least a little bit of a degree. I mean, it can still happen. List metaing is just universal. Is it's called a Highlander tournament. In Highlander, I don't know how you guys are maybe old enough to know it because this is Warhammer and there's a lot of old heads in Warhammer. It's the there can be only one situation, right? You can only bring one of any list type, like any unit. You can't bring more. So the common build of like Thousand Suns with MSU rubrics and a ton of sorcerers of all the same kind, it's gone. It's out the window. You got to try to figure something else out. And you can't really do that if you don't have a collection. Yeah, I feel like most people are probably 30s, 40s, maybe even later than that. I'm almost 40, and I was at a tournament this weekend, and the one guy there was like, I mean, it's great. We have so many people, so many different ages, and he pointed at me and was like, we got people in their 20s. I was like, Jesus. Do I have that many preservatives in me? That, like, I don't look my age? Okay. Looked him dead in the eyes and went double it. And then he had to make some, he had some thoughts on his own life and what got him to that point. I think we will do a slightly lighter blue. The staff could be green as well. This is a swirl, and occasionally I like doing the staff swirls in green. So flat. But yeah, we got the box, man. We got the endless spells. I'm so happy. We're gonna have so many endless spells to make. Dude, I love me some green. The main rumor is, what is it? Vespids and Scions for the next box. We're going to be moving to a more vertical nature of things. I don't know if it's going to be a new season or if the last box of this season is going to be that. Supposedly around that same time, we should be getting the 3.0 rules update. The hope is that the 3.0 rules update is a soft rules update where everything that's currently in the game still works. It's just reestablished to be kind of a little bit more clarified with some adjustments to how certain rules work. Like rules that were way too oppressive over the course of 2.0. In particular, flying. Flying is probably going to see some adjustment. Because flying is just maximum oppression. And that's coming from a person who has a Harlequin team. That's coming from a person who has a Corsairs team with that Shade Runner. That's coming from a person who plays Warp Coven and can have a sorcerer that has fly. Fly is super oppressive. It's the same way in Age of Sigmar as well. Fly is ridiculous. We do need some orcs. We need orcs, but we need Tyranid more than anything else, honestly. Like, I'm so sick and tired of not seeing a Tyranid team. I don't even plan on playing them. I just think we really need one. Tyranid are so ideal. As a fun kill team. I think you can do great stuff. I lost. I'm chalking that up to going against 2 Night Haunt players in a row. Well, not in a row. I went against a Night Haunt player who really knows how to play the game in general for my opening round because that was my RNG. I rolled dice to get placed against a Night Haunt player where I got blown out. It was like 20-something to 5 or some shit. It was so bad. I then went up against Ideneth. It was a new player, but because, you know, Ideneth aren't straight up like, we're going to counter your rules, I was able to actually do damage, like, pretty consistently. At which point, it was a reverse blowout. It was like 25 to 7. Which gave me just enough points to get back into the mid-pack ruling, like the middle of the pack points-wise, which meant I went up against the other Night Haunt player at the tournament. So that one I kept close to a tie. I did a lot of dumb stuff. I did things where I was like, well, I could score points here, but if I do it, I lose the whole unit. At which point I can't keep scoring, and we're only in turn 2, so I have to do dumb things. Here we go. And then I just do dumb stuff. But yeah, Night Haunt, STRONK. Soul Eaters, STRONK. I heard that Vamp Court, the Flesh Eater Court, or the Soul Blight, right? It's so Soul Blight's STRONK. Flesh Eaters are pretty good. They feel a little bit better, but they're pretty good. Don't know about Ozark Bone Reapers, Oziarchs, because the one guy we have local who decided to pick them up, he was like kind of slowly getting into them, so he wasn't going to be ready by the tournament to play them. Dude, they're all, like, a lot of them are good. Friggin' okay, so I don't understand why they gave Night Haunt pretty much all their rules. When they got rid of some of mine. Like, they took away elements of my rules. And then straight up, we're just like, let's make sure Night Haunt have pretty much all the rules. When they charge, -1 to hit. You can't rend them. They come with the wards. They get their lethals in melee. Like, why do you have everything? Why? You guys took so much away from my people and then gave it all to Night Haunt. Like, why? And they have way more units than you'd expect. Like, that's probably the worst of it, is that they have a lot. Not just on the field, but 2 of their biggest squads are reinforcement. So they're just going to come back if you have to kill them early. It's so miserable. I do not understand. I don't react to puns. You can't make me. My favorite thing to do to people who try to throw a pun at me is make them feel shame by not reacting. Shame. But yeah, I've got a Warflock list. I have a Warflock list idea that I don't think I'm going to use. I've got a Demon list, though. Men who fear nothing love nothing. I see. Chucking Sean Connery quotes at you. All right, let's do... I think we want to do the spine on this book differently. But yeah, I almost got best... Like, okay. Literally for round 3, I'm standing in the room and he was like... The guy running the tournament was like, yo, you're about to get comeback. Like, there was a bunch of different things. There was painting, there was first and second, and then there was most improved, right? Those were the the different variables, we'll say. Alright. And we were all rolling off to see who we were going to be matched against at random. And he was like, oh, you could get it, man. And I was like, yeah, unless I match into Night Haunt like I'm about to. And then I rolled my dice and matched into Night Haunt. And I was like, yep. He was like, nah, it'll be fine, man. I was like, no, you don't understand. There is no stopping Night Haunt. No, yeah. Flesh Eaters are pretty good. I feel like they're less obnoxious though. Soul Eater or the just the Skelly Knights. The Skelly Knights are really good. All right, everyone's leaving me. All right, miniature Warzone. Death is going to be strong, though. And apparently the main reason they're strong right now is because Nagash is universal in Death. and Nagash is just extremely powerful. Like, Nagash has just some of the best spell casting in the game right now, and you just spam damage spells with her, I believe, is the general gist of what you're supposed to do. So you just take her and you just spam spells, and that's it. It's the game. Just be a spell spammer. So most people just build around Nagash and then just have like a couple mechanics units, and then they go. They see how it all plays out. So honestly, Disciples of Tzeentch might be one of the few armies that can deal with that, because we would have, I feel like, if you build it right, we would have the most amount of wizard levels to be able to just counter. And I think it could work, like, decently. No, yeah, Nagash is brutal. Nagash is super brutal. Which sucks because to my left, just off camera, there is a very large box. And that very large box has Archon, the Archeon in it. Which I got because in AOS 3.0 I could use him. I don't know if you know, but he's like a couple $100 as a model. And now he's just sitting in this case that I can't use. I get why they did it. I do. It's hard to balance a bunch of factions when there's an individual, really powerful unit that can be used across all of them. But then that makes me wonder about their decision with death. Because I agree, if you have a really powerful unit and you can put them into any army, you have to balance that entire army around taking that one really powerful unit. Why would you do it with only one of the factions? Someone at Games Workshop really likes death as the faction of choice. I'm eating tavern-style pizza. I'm sorry. Like, I feel like if they did an interview with the guy writing the rules for AOS, in the background would be every single death army. You're like, yeah, I think I got it. I think I nailed the balance across the board for all of these different teams. And it's like, I don't know, man. I was debating grabbing the Necromunda stuff. There was a guy there who was like, I kind of want these models. And I was like, dude, if you don't want the Genestealer Cult models, I'll pitch some money in. But he didn't want the terrain either. He just wanted the models. And I do not care about the terrain. I'm just going to wait for the mouse trains to come out as a box if they come out separately. Fingers crossed. Hopefully that is how it happens. All right, how are we going to do this? I think we do the colors on his disc. The colors. Where's Asserman Blue? We'll do Asserman Blue. What up, Diver? Jeez, there's people in here. What are you guys doing on a Monday? Like, what's happening? Mondays are usually slow. You people playing hooky? Taking days off of work, or are we just all on lunch break like usual? And we want to do the recesses. I think the thing that's going to make this guy take forever is I actually want to do a lot of this gemstoning. There's so many gemstones all over his character. You guys got days off? Jesus. It's Monday. I mean, do you work at the comic book store near me? Because, I mean, I guess. Although I think they actually work on Mondays, even though the store's closed. One of the core things the local comic book store seems to be doing to stay afloat is, like, interacting with a lot of locals as the core source for book orders. I think they just exist on Monday to organize the orders and get them ready to be sent out. Diver, that sounds, yeah, Diver, that sounds ridiculous. It feels like you're gonna like get geared up, head up the mountain. Gonna learn. Gonna go see your master about the Grey Knights. Teach me the ways. I feel like in another timeline I'd be playing Grey Knights. Ow. You guys gonna, is it like a continue collecting thing? Was your grandpa the one playing Grey Knights against you? I'm trying to remember. Because I know we had someone in Discord who was playing games with their pops or something. Neat. I don't really have too many people to info dump on. That's why I'm glad I got into one of the local groups for this kind of thing. Like, I actually have built-in limiters in my head for when people are like, "Hey, what do you do? What do you do for fun?" And I'm like, I play tabletop games, I play Warhammer. And they have that moment of like, "Oh, that's cool, what's it like?" And it's like, "Oh, I don't..." Like, I brought up I was playing Kill Team to my cousin. My cousin is really into tabletop games, but like board games, right? Like one-offs. Some of the you can play this in an hour kind of games. He loves those, him and his wife. And his wife, when I was like, I play tabletop games, she was like, "Oh my god!" And I was like, and I kind of gave my cousin the look, like, not those kinds of tabletop games. And he was like, I mean, we... There's a danger to this. Yeah, if you... It's the, oh, what is it? The Malcolm in the Middle meme. When you start on this path, there is no getting off. There is no bailing. There is no quitting. Making this choice. Tournament went kind of how I expected. Every time I went against a Night Hunt player, I lost. Every time I went against anyone else, I actually did really well. I've played into a lot of teams. I've gotten a handle on kind of how a lot of it works. The problem is the gamble with Disciples of Tzeentch is if you get a high enough fate dice roll, do you want to spike your damage and win? Like, that's the whole thing about it. Do I spike your damage? Because game one, I'm starting to see with Night Hunt, the problem is the thing you want to kill first is very hard to kill. It's basically the bodyguard unit for the leader. It's super hard to kill. It is so many wounds. But that's why it's cool being a Thousand Suns player, Diver. I'm like the only one in the area. So when people are like, "How do these guys work?" I'm like, "All right, sit down. Grab a snack. Let me run you down some fun stuff. Let me give you a preview of how my mind works." But yeah, there were a few Night Hunt players. I feel like a lot of the people, when they were revealing the rules for how characters or how teams worked, they looked into it and were like, "Oh my god, Night Hunt's really good." And then, you know, passively decided to go Night Hunt. Because, yeah. And a few of them are starting to kind of notice, especially at the tournament, that, like, that's it, man. You play Night Haunt, unless you're playing into other, like, death armies, you're practically guaranteed the victory. Like, it's almost a 100% guarantee. I don't know who actually straight counters them. And it's kind of an issue of the rules they decided to keep the Spearhead with, but it's also kind of an issue of, you know, just Spearhead in general. Just like Combat Patrol. The Combat Patrols that were, you know, a little bit crazier in design are just passively going to do better. Like, Chaos Space Marines were going to do really well in Combat Patrol because they had a Dreadnought. Or a Hellbrute. That was actually designed well with good weapons. As well as a squad of Havocs. Like, those two things, oh my god. Too strong. Dark Eldar as well with their multiple frickin' boats. Way too good. I don't know if Daughters of Cain are good as a Spearhead. I know they're pretty good as an army. I know they have really good endless spells. Is also a big thing. I don't know how they work as a Spearhead, though. I like Disciples for what they are. You have to protect your Flamers as much as humanly possible. I feel like, strategically speaking, the one thing I could maybe do with them into Night Haunt, because you're not going bonus Rend into Night Haunt. That's pointless. All your Rend is worthless against Night Haunt, so don't even try. Speaking of which, I need to look something up, because I don't know if those units were a 4+ save, that he had as a 4+ save. If they are, that's insane. So you go Sustain. You go the one where, as Acolytes die, you're able to resurrect Zangors. I think the goal is to have your Zangors absorb the first impact from the Chain Rasps. And then afterwards, you retreat, if you can position them well enough, you retreat them into like a different area of the map, which I don't know if you can, honestly, with how small the maps are, and, you know, the fact that you can't really go through the Chain Rasps, I don't think. Where is Night Haunt? I need to see their statting. There they are. You do that, then you send your Acolytes into the Chain Rasps, because you're expecting Acolytes to die so that your Zangors can get back up, and then you have a sustainable front line into the Reaper, into like the Scythe Bearers. But the problem with that is that you can't charge. Oh my god, he was definitely not doing it. What? Okay, subtract 1, pick an enemy battlefield, add 1 to the Rend. Subtract 1 from hit rolls, combat attacks, that target a friendly unit, the charge. That's what he went as a passive. He thought his save was a 4+. I think. Ignore all modifiers to save rolls, friendly units, positive, negative. Pick a friendly unit that has the ability to charge phase of 10. Yeah, okay, so no. I should have called him on it. Models were slain. No more than 1 enemy unit can target your general. Attacks with shooting per phase. Your general Sword of the Stolen Hero, Crypt Mortal, return 1 slain model. I think he went the heal. Yeah, I got cheated out of my win in the second game, or my third game. That makes me really mad right now, actually. He was rolling 4+ saves. Oh, no, okay, there they are. I was wrong. Yeah, they are 4s. Jesus. Like, why would you get an army that's anti-rend and give them one of the best saves for, like, general units? I don't get it, man. I don't get it. 4+ saves with no ability to rend them and they have wards? I don't know. Anti-rend feels like you can't be... Your leader's a 4, but the rest of your army's a 5. Like, I don't know why they thought this was a good idea for a spearhead. Like, this is so soul-crushingly bad. Pizza. All right, we need snakebite leather. But yeah, I have no clue about daughters, actually. What do the daughters look like? Let's take a minute, actually. Let me full screen this. And we play the learning game. Yeah. Daughters of Cain. Where are they? Oh, I also need to compare the cards I have for Warcry to what the compendium is right now. We'll do that later. I'm blind. There we are. So, you're saying this is a Spearhead tournament, so none of this matters. So you get 5 witches, 5 Doomfire, 5 Bloodstalkers, and a Melusai Iron Scale. Oh, you've got something similar to the Ideneth. Start of each battle round, all friendly units gain the Blood Rights passive ability that correspond to the current blade round as shown in the table. Units keep all Blood Rights abilities. So you're stacking. Ideneth is you get the abilities and then they go away. You actually stack. Add 1 to the run rolls. That's not bad to have at the beginning, although the map is so small that, like, why? Well, we'll see what your movement is. Add 1 to the charge rolls. That's actually pretty good. Add 1 to hit rolls. I mean, that's good, but this is turn 3. Add 1 to the wound rolls. These are cool, but the problem is the pacing of Spearhead is you're in combat turn 1. So assume that this doesn't matter. Assume this doesn't matter for turn 2, unless you need to long bomb charge something for some reason. We'll see though if you can do a fallback and charge function, which maybe. Daughters of Cain, I feel like they would have something like that. Your overall ability, all friendly units have the Blood Right passive ability that they would have gained at the start of the next battle round. This is probably once per battle. Oh, okay. This is still probably really good because in turn 2 you would activate this. That way you would get the +1 to hit rolls as well as the 1 to charge in turn 2. Pick a friendly unit wholly within 12 inches of your general. You cannot be your general. Add 1 to the ward. That's not bad because it is passive. But we'll see what else you've got going here. Bathed in blood. Each time a model is slain by your general, heal 1. That's usually not good. Although it is a model. So if you send them into fodder, you might be really good. Add 1 to the rend characteristic of melee weapons used by friendly Bloodstalker units while they are wholly within 12. Bloodstalkers. You only have 5 of those. We'll see what they look like. Until the end of the phase, subtract 1 from hit rolls. This is once per battle. You can declare it in any combat phase. Attacks that target friendly units while they are wholly within 12. This actually more powerful than you would think. If you can position your general so that everyone is wholly within 12 of it, You could absorb, if you go second, you could absorb. And the thing is, in Spearhead, you can swap. Every single round, you don't have to, or every single game, you don't have to verify, you don't have to like solidify your list with this. Like you don't go into a tournament with this selected and this selected. You pick round to round. You also pick after you roll, so you will at least know if your opponent's going to be the attacker. If they are the attacker, I actually highly suggest this as your general bonus, and then try and keep everyone within 12 of your general. Because everything's going to run into it for melee, and then you just pop this, turn 1. Pick a friendly unit that is wholly within 9 of your general that is not in combat. Roll a dice for each slain model in that unit. For each 5+, you can return 1 slain model to the unit. You don't have horde units, which sucks. This might still be really good though. I would definitely say this is a counter to someone winning the attacker roll. This might be okay, depending on how the Bloodstalkers are. As like if you're going first, maybe. This could be okay for sustainability. It's not the worst. Because it is permanent. You don't have to take a test outside of this. Like, in the Disciples of Tzeentch, you would have to take a test to see if it goes off, and then take a test to see if it works. Like, But here, you can at least just keep declaring it every hero phase, which isn't bad, depending on how survivable your units are. That's not a good save. Right off the bat, not a good save. Ward of 6. Is everything you have Ward 6? Ward 6, Ward 6. So there was the one here where you pick, add 1 to ward rolls, but you can only pick 1 unit for it. It's not the best. There's not a lot of 3 damage or 2 damage things in Spearhead. So this could actually not be the worst for you. But I don't know. This might, you'd have to tinker with this. I feel like this has more potential just in turn 2 to at least give you the +1 to hit in turn 2. Which is probably really useful. 8-inch move. Does any of your stuff have fly? No. Oh, what? Your cavalry is reinforcement? And so are these. Elves. So you have 15 units that can reinforce. And the one that I honestly think you would want to reinforce is your cavalry, because you want these guys in first. You want basically everything with reinforcement in combat turn 1. Like all of this needs to be in combat turn 1. This, hitting on 3s with crit auto wounds, 3 attacks per, meaning 15 attacks total. That's actually really good for this. Add 1 to the Ren characteristic of this unit weapons if it charged. Yeah. So you kind of want to put, well, it doesn't matter against Night Haunt because Ren doesn't matter. But against most people, you want to kind of put a meat wall of your cavalry up in front to prevent people from getting to your elves, so you can countercharge with your elves. The warlocks, though. Pick a visible enemy unit within 12 inches of this to make a casting roll on a 6. So you get Doom Bolt, which is really good. It's just passive. This can be done in combat, so you can get them in combat and do this. At health 3, 14-inch move with a ward 6. It's not bad. The damage isn't great, though, but you do get ranged on them. That's kind of cool. Their damage isn't good. These are your meat wall slash freaking utility units. These are the units you want doing stuff if possible. Most likely against most armies, though, since you get, what, 3 or 5? Jesus, you get 5? So the way movement works in this game, or the way setting up and movement works in this game, is when you have an oval base like this, when you measure to move, you'll measure from like the edge of the base, right? To where you want to go. Do I have... Oh, I can actually do this, yeah. Hang on. Basic full screen. So, if I have pink horrors here and I'm like, I don't want you to charge them. Let me turn off servo for you. I can put this guy in front like this, right? But then if I want him to move in a way where he turns to like a flat, you measure from the point on the base that's closest to where you want to move to. You then measure to that point. So he moves 14, but just for the sake of showing how this works, let's say this is 14 inches. I can actually be like, all right, I'm gonna go this way now. Like, you can rotate it. There's no rotation. There's no pivot rule in this game. You just move it the way you want. So what you would do with your cavalry is you would put them as far up as you can on your front line, like this. Like, you would string them as a wall across your whole front line. That way your elves, who hopefully are like 6 inches away maybe from this, so that they have a little bit of safety, are able to countercharge most of your opponents by being like, oh, you've killed a couple of my horses. Here I come. And then you just wipe them out. And then maybe your horses die in the process. Like, maybe you get like one horse left, you retreat it, it dies to the D3 mortals. It's got reinforcements, it's coming back. 14-inch move, and it just comes back and can do stuff. You want that to come back turn 2, turn 3, 100%, because you can turn around some stuff with that. That's really good, actually. Come back over here. Of course, these guys you want to hang back. Crit auto wounds. Almost everything you have is a crit auto wound, which is pretty impressive and good, especially when your top end's a 3+. Because at the very least, you'll hit with a ton, and then you won't have to get to here all that much. Mostly 1 damage, although your leader's not bad, it looks like. Let's see what they've got. Pick a friendly unit wholly within 12. You cannot pick this unit. Till the start of your next turn, add 1 to the hit rolls for combat. This is a little... This is a little off because of this. Because you would normally pop this in turn 2 to gain this. But because of this, I don't think you would want it, right? I think you would want to do this in turn 3 because the 1 to the wound rolls is just stronger at that point. Because you can just do this passively. Like, I don't think this is as important as probably other stuff might be. This seems... This feels better, I feel like. Because here's the thing, right? This is important. Once per battle, your hero phase. So when your phase starts is when you declare this. Any combat phase. That means in your combat phase, if you go first, you can pick a unit that went in to have 1 ward save bonus. This has to happen at the beginning, so position with this unit is very important, which isn't bad because of the 8-inch move. And you can run. You can run and use abilities. Like, you won't be able to use your ranged attack, which kind of sucks, because this is actually a really good ranged attack. My leader only gets 1 attack. That's not even close to how good this is for hitting and wounding. 6 melee attacks is insane, though. At damage 2 flat per with 1 rend. This is a really good character. But yeah, you turn 1, you could move it up. Or if this is in a defensive position with this, like if you're rocking this because you know you're going second, and your horse line is up and your horse line is wholly within 12 inches of this character, basically everyone's going to pile into your horses, and you're going to go, well, now's the moment. Subtract 1 from hits, from everything you're doing into my horses, and then add 1 to the ward saves. So -1 to hit into them, and then 5+ ward saves for your horses. And then next turn, you can pick a different unit to get the ward saves. This is really cool. I like this. Pick an enemy unit within 1 inch of the target and roll a dice. On a 2+ inflict 1 mortal. End of any turn. So you're just doing mortals to things that are nearby. That's crazy. This is a really good unit, man. These are okay. Shooting attacks made by this unit score crit hits on modified roll of 5. Oh, Jesus. 18-inch range, and you're critting on 5s. 3 attacks per. This was a 5-man unit, right? Yeah. Dude, that's insane. This is nuts. Stand still, and you have an 18-inch range. Frickin' crit wounds on 5. 3 attacks per, hitting on 3s normally. This is really good. They move 8 normally too. So even if you don't want to do that anymore, 8-inch move gives you a good bit of ability to go somewhere to like cover a point or block something. Especially since you have 5 of them. 5. It's so good. Because that's 15 ranged attack. Dude, honestly, Daughters of Cain. I love Disciples for how dumb they are, but I feel like 9 times out of 10, me playing Disciples is me trying to just send the Screamers somewhere and have them sit there for like 3 turns and do nothing. I hate it. Like, there's so much about Disciples where it's like, you're not going to do anything this round. It's like, oh, cool, thanks. Thanks, game. Super fun. But yeah, good luck at your game. For funsies, tally how many Night Haunt are going to be there. I'm telling you, everything I just read about them, actually not bad. Like, if you looked at the Disciples of Tzeentch rules, because I can show you why they're not great. Round 2 of in-depth looks. So this is what you have to contend with Disciples. This is why I have an issue with how they're balanced in Spearhead. You know the drill. 3 Flamers, 3 Screamers, 5 Zangs, 10 Acolytes. This feels like a lot, but none of these have reinforcement, and the method that you need to go through to bring units back, you can only really do it for Zangors, and it usually is at the cost of Kyriks. So Master of Destiny, this is all you get. You don't get like the cool +1s and blah, 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 and just permanent bonuses and buffs. You roll 9 dice at the beginning of the game. You can use them on this. This sucks because if you roll a bunch of 1s and 2s, you have nothing to do for the most part. Like, you're rarely going to use that. If you don't get enough 5s and 6s, you feel like you can't do anything the entire game. So this is garbage. And like, it just is. This reads weird though. Roll 9 dice, put them to the side. These are your Destiny dice. During the battle, instead of rolling the dice for one of the rolls list opposite, you can pick one of your Destiny dice and use it as the roll. Like, in my brain, I would be kind of accepting that this does mean instead of rolling dice for your opponent, like if your opponent's about to roll, I could be like, sir, I have a bunch of 1s, and I'm going to make you use the 1s. I wonder if that's it. I wonder if that's like a wording thing that makes it weird. No, yeah. The whole thing about, we'll go over it. So, regiment abilities, anything that doesn't have a lot of armor or is Night Haunt or basically negates your rend, you go this. Which means you need to figure out a way to force them to kill your Kyriks over the course of the game while your Zangor squads are alive. If a Zangor squad gets spiked, it's dead. Like, that's pretty much it. Yeah, no. Fate dice suck. Unless I can force my opponent to take these rolls, it sucks. Add 1 to the Ren characteristic of weapons. When you're going into elites that have like save of 3 or a save of 4, and they don't negate Ren, like Night Haunt, you take this. And then you have to protect your flamers as much as humanly possible. Shield of Fate, it's cool because it's, hey, you get a ward or you increase your ward save if you make the 2d6. And they have to be wholly within. You have to make your hero phase, you make a roll to increase a ward, potentially to 5 if it's your demons. It's garbage. Like, this, not great, just in general. If you have fewer than 6 destiny dice, make a casting roll of 2d6. On a 7, you can roll a dice and add it to your destiny dice. This is a huge number for 2d6 that you could go through a whole game and never make it. That makes this a waste. Like, both of these, because they're tests, make it a waste. Time Slip Pendant. Gives the unit that you target with it once per battle, strike last. This is actually not bad if you go all in on something big with a lot of units. It's not the worst. But this is basically your only choice, in my opinion. The Demon Heart. You have to be within an inch of a target, and then you just activate it once per battle. In any combat phase, yours or theirs, inflict an amount of mortal damage equal to the number of the current battle round. So if you keep your unit alive for 3 or 4 turns, you just immediately do 3 or 4 mortals into something. This is how I killed the Tree Lord in turn 1, because I needed the extra mortal to kill it. So I had it. I went, yep, there you go. So he sucks. The only stat that really matters for him is 14-inch movement. That's it. This is really spiky. I've gone through so many rounds where I don't either hit or I don't wound a single time in combat, so this sucks. The fact that you get 1 attack on a 3 and a 4 for D3 damage with no rend, think about that. 1 attack, a little better than 50-50, 50-50. So, a little better than 50-50 to hit, 50-50 to wound. On average, you're never doing this. You're going to be burning fate dice on this if you want to do this. I do not suggest you do that with your fate dice at all. The whole thing with him is taking tests to see if you get the D3. And then if you do get the D3, you return a Zangor to a squad. Like, this is one of the ways you get your units back. It sucks. You only get 1 back. If you manage 3 mortals into a 1 wound squad and kill 3 units, you only get 1 Zangor. Take a test, gain a rend. Not the worst, in my opinion. Not the worst. Still, it's a test, which frickin' sucks. Most of the statting, 5-inch movement, these guys are just not great. They don't even get reinforced. It's garbage. They're terrible in combat. They're mediocre in ranged. The whole point is to basically get them in combat when you have that 1 ability active to just bring back Zangors as they die. On a test, though, it's a 4+. 50-50 for every single one of these units that die to bring a Zangor back. Not great odds. Screamers. These guys this is their only stat that really matters. That's it. It's 14 and fly. That's it. It's the only stat that matters. 14 and fly. You send them somewhere. Because what's going to happen is your opponent's going to send all their units up to try to get you into combat if they do not pull the squad into combat. Or even if they do, fall it back, get it into their side of the field, and then just take their stuff. Just take their stuff. That's the whole point of this unit. Just take their stuff. Because this sucks. And this sucks. At most, you're doing 3 mortals on a 50-50 for all 3 of these units. Like, having to fly over top of someone. I will say, let me bring us back over to the basic full screen. I don't have a screamer on this table, but I will show you a thought process I had with this flamer over here. So if you're outside of 3 and you don't really want to go into combat, or maybe you do later, but there's too much stuff on the other side of the unit to make it so that you can't just like go past them, I honestly think wording of going over top of something is literally just doing like, all right, I'm going to move here, and then I'm going to move back. I'm going to go right back to where I started after moving slightly over top of you with all of my units, meaning I'm going to roll a bunch of mortals. And, like, I feel like that's the only real way to do it. But the reality is, like I said, you're probably going to be in combat turn 1. You might lose a unit. And then the whole point, because they have 3 wounds, is to go, all right, I'm falling back. And then you hope you roll low. And then you fly over top of them to get somewhere. And then you roll a bunch of dice to see if you do mortals. And that's it. That's their whole purpose. And they suck. So, yeah. Zangors. The hottest of garbage because of this. If you do not go first, there is a very low chance you're going to be in your opponent's zone. So this is entirely reliant on you getting initiative, because you can't set up. And this is the thing: even if you get initiative, 6-inch move, right? Which means you are at the border. Okay. Your opponents are 6 inches away from the border, which means the charge rolls need to be a 6. Not the worst, but it's an easily failable charge roll. These are the things you have to protect. 9-inch move, fly, make them actually very decent at getting away from stuff. Ward 6 is the hottest of garbage. Control 1 means that this isn't even a thing. There's only 3 units in the squad. Don't even care about that. 2 health. They're not really that durable. It's horrible. This is it. This is where you win or lose. And the problem is, because it's Tzeentch, you win or lose based on how well you roll here. This is great because it means you're hitting on 2s, which means you're pretty much guaranteed almost to hit with maybe 8 out of your 9 attacks. But then your filter is 4. This is where you spend your good dice. Like, honestly, if you're going into elites and you did the Rend 1, this is Rend 1, you want as much of this to work. So let's say you've got like 2 6s and 3 5s, and you hit 7 times, you're rolling 1 dice. And then the rest you're guaranteeing into whatever you're shooting. Because hopefully you're shooting something big. And then when like a quarter of that gets reduced, you roll a bunch of D3s. And there you go. Hopefully you killed the big thing. Now, my first game against Night Haunt, I hit with all 9. I guaranteed wounds with 6. And then I rolled 2 extra. So I only dropped 2 dice into the Night Haunt. He made out of... Wait, what was it? It was 6 and then 2. So actually, I dropped 1 dice. He made 7 saves on his 4+ save that I can't rend. So he made 7, knocking it down to a single damage dice. And I rolled the damage dice and D3, and I did like 3 damage, which I think killed something. And that's it. He brought it back because he went the bring it back function. And that was the whole game. That was my whole first turn. I burned all my Destiny dice and didn't do anything. Because that's how Night Haunt works. But yeah. These guys are good if they roll well. If you don't roll well turn 1, you're probably going to lose. Potentially. If your opponent rolls as poorly as you, then you actually have a chance. But yeah, it's not a good team. The bulk of how this team works is utilizing the characters that have fly with their 14-inch moves to just be obnoxious, to go places people can't go at times when it's annoying, and that's it. They're great into a bunch of armies. They're not great into anything death, and you're probably going to see a ton of death because death are really strong right now. So yeah, probably Blood Elves. Just do the Daughters. Do the Daughters of Cain. I don't see why not. They feel like a bit of a better option. You might be able to do more Because the trick is, again, going into Night Haunt, they have 8-inch move, they fly. So terrain doesn't matter to them, and they're going to be in melee with you turn 1. It's going to happen. So the trick becomes, when they charge, you're at -1 to hit. You still get your lethals on pretty much everything. But if you go the defensive option because you know you're going second, they're like, haha, you're at -1 to hit. And you're going to go, haha, you're also at -1 to hit. And they're going to be like, oh. No, yeah. Dude, you need, honestly, the whole thing needs a rebalance. You need better characters, like, on the field to do half the stuff. The function and process of how Zangors work isn't good enough. Like, you need all the other benefits for Warflock to make Zangors useful. If you do not have those other benefits, you're not going to have a good time. And Warflock has good stuff. This is the thing. If you look at the actual Disciples of Tzeentch rules, Warflock have units that are genuinely scary. Skyfires are a lot scarier than they've ever been. Like, a lot scarier than they've ever been. And Enlightened are still really scary. And Shaman are actually a lot better than they used to be. Shaman feel a lot more useful. And then, of course, you lean into other Arcanites and stuff. Like Gaunt Summoners and things. Although I might go a Gaunt Summoner in my Demon list. I gotta figure out how to points that, though. Because Gaunt Summoners are really good. But yeah, Disciples need a new Spearhead, and I think the focus of it needs to either be fully on Arcanite or fully on Demon. Not this half and half BS. Like, genuinely, the one thing I think that would fix a lot of the Disciples of Tzeentch problems is if you can use Fate Dice for your opponent's rolls. It used to be that if you rolled poorly on Fate Dice, it wasn't the worst. Because at the very least, you would have really good morale check rolls. But morale doesn't exist anymore. So you have this issue, and the only way you solve the issue is by going either full Arcanite and going the spell lore that allows you to re-roll all of your Fate Dice, except the 6s. What up, Spro? Which, the whole point of that system is that you don't use your Fate Dice. You have as many Fate Dice as possible for the first, like, 3 turns. And you just keep re-rolling them once every single time to try to get as many 6s as humanly possible for a later turn to just nuke something. But then the whole trick with that is you try to keep them at 9 so that when you use Chaos Gate or whatever that one spell is, the total amount of mortal potential comes from the fact that you have 9 dice, which means you roll 9 attempts at mortals instead of 4, which is the minimum. So you go that route with your Arcanites. Or you go the Demon route and you try to make sure that you have a Lord of Change in the field, because the Lord of Change can bring back a squad at half its starting strength after it dies for the cost of 1 fate dice. That's the whole point. You also hopefully would get access to Kairos, because Kairos can take the fate dice for casting, and he can do, like, let's say if he takes a 3 and a 1, the 1 becomes a 3, because that's how Kairos works, meaning it's a 6. If he's within range of, I think, the Lord of Change or himself, I think maybe himself, he gets a +1. So that's a 7, and that's most of your casting. So all you need is a 3 and a 1 to be able to cast the base of whatever you want with Kairos, if you're looking for a minimum roll. So, like, you have to build in that situation to negate the fact that fate dice don't feel that good anymore. Which sucks, but it is what it is. I just put my headphone back on. I think I'm okay with this song. We're okay with it. It's a little casual, but it's fine. Alright, so next up on the docket, Vulpus Pink. We gotta do the mouth that's in the middle of this book here. I think I'm gonna try to run mostly demons for my on-field list for the full scale 40 or the full scale AOS. I have enough Arcanites to potentially run a Warflock list. I kind of don't want to. Although I will say there is some crossover. There's a little bit of crossover, and it comes from the Changeling. Because if you run an Arcanite list, you can do... you can run the faction that gets a free counter, I think. I think it's either a free counter, or if they counter, they get a benefit of being able to use the cast your own spell in your enemy's hero phase thing for free. Because then in that situation, you counter a spell, you cast your one of your changeling spells in the enemy phase for free if you go second. Because if you're going second, he needs it, because it makes it almost impossible to target him with stuff. But I mean, if you have a changeling, there's probably, most likely you're going to be spending a command point so that he can cast that ability. Which I am running a changeling. For now, I could switch over to Gaunt Summoner. And I do have an on-foot Gaunt Summoner. That way I can actually hide them. Why did that book have to look like it has a butthole? Alright, let's retone the middle ring on this Disc of Tzeentch. But I wish you luck. And I kind of think those Daughters of Cain could be really good. Well, you can, if you have an airbrush, you can always, or even if you don't, you can always do my method of making something tabletop ready for when you want to be lazy with it. Just start with a dark color and then either slap chop or OSL spray it up to look like it's all about directional light, and then do some kind of like detail, some flat detail color within the lighting, and be like, haha, mission accomplished. Behold my Night Fight Gene Stealer cult. Because there's no way in hell I'm painting every single one of these models. You can't make me. I have a feeling if I took my Gene Stealer cults to like a real tournament, they'd probably not give me the 10 points. Even though I did actually put in some work. I bought stencils to airbrush stencil cutouts on them. That way it looked like there was at least some kind of effort put in. But the bulk of them is just 3-toned OSL. Technically, I did it the same thing with my demons. Most of my demons, not all of them. Larger demon models I kind of want to paint because there's always like way too much detail on the larger demon models. Like this Fate Skimmer. There's so much detail that I really want to hit. Because I think it'll look good. The gemstoning and everything. Multi-tone golds. Ooh, Ironhead Prospectors. Salvagers are cool. And, I mean, you can always continue converting if you look into the new ones. The frickin' Edgelord Dwarves. The Jaegers. Jaegers seem really cool. Did I not do? Okay. I do really like the dwarves. If they announced the dwarves 3 months earlier, I probably wouldn't be playing Thousand Suns. But over the course of 3 months, I bought a Magnus. I bought, like, all this stuff. I bought so many rubrics. I bought a ton of sorcerers. I was like, I'm in, yay. And then they were like, dwarves, you bastards. I could have ordered, like, for what I spent on my Thousand Suns, I could have ordered, like, 2 of the battle boxes for dwarves and just been done. for so long. Like, the Jaegers would have dropped, and I'd been like, all right, I'm grabbing Jaegers now. Ow. It would have also allowed me to be a little bit more discerning with my AOS pick. Because the only reason I'm playing Disciples of Tzeentch is because I have so many demons and Zangors. So I was like, screw it, I'll just go Disciples. Cost effective. Whereas I could have spent so little on my friggin' Hearthkin that I would have been like, oh, let me actually pick. I probably would have picked the Grots, the Gloomspite Gits, and green. I would have had Gringak's Loon Court. I already have the other one. Loon Court sounds great. There is a box of Loon Court near me, but every box of Underworlds in that store is on sale except that box. And I want them to put the 30% off sticker on it before I buy it. Like, at this point, it's just a war of attrition between me and my local game store. I have so many teams that I don't need them, but I kind of want them. You mean the actual starter box? Okay, so wait, do you not have anything right now for Underworlds? Because yes, grab the starter box. It'll have the dice. It has the boards you need. Because Underworlds requires at least like you to have one board for yourself. And the starter, any of like the box sets come with 2. So it's okay. But the big thing is the dice and the boards that you need. The rulebook is online. If you buy the starter set, don't look at the starter set rulebook. Don't care about that. Look at the rulebook online because there have been some adjustments made. I know that they changed what you can do after a super action. Because in the Weird Hollow rulebook, it claims like you can do very little after a super action, but I guess that got really boring for people. So they decided, oh, well, you know, let's let them actually do other things. So that's kind of where we're at, is you can do at least a handful of stuff after a super action. What up, Rax? But yeah, once you get it all, if I'm around and I'm streaming, I feel like we're winding down. I have some endless spells to build, which we will paint, which that'll probably be a couple weeks, at the very least. I'm gonna probably take them home to build them though. Yeah, no, it's a good baseline because it'll give you 2 boards, 2 of the more common boards. They're boards that don't really come with like a lot of weird stuff like stagger components and stuff. So there's not a lot of advanced play with them, but I mean, if you're just playing casual, you probably don't really care too much about the advanced play that comes from stagger and damage zones. I feel like most of the people in the local league mostly just use the starter boards. It's the one major criticism I have for Underworlds is that if you really want to get into it, you need almost all the boards that are currently legal for Rivals. That way you have options. And there's no easy way to get them outside of just buying a ton of boxes for hundreds of dollars. Apparently, according to people who've been playing Underworlds for a while, there was a season where you could buy the boards separately. But they haven't done that since, which is not great, I think. So for the most part, people just grab the starter set and they go with it. I think I'm going to go on his... For this, I think we'll go like a really light blue. New starter set? Like, I love the starter sets for Underworlds. It's just 2 teams and then the dice and stuff. It's exactly what you would want, right? Like, the starter set as it stands is good for Underworlds. And at any point in time, if you want to hop into Underworlds, the box sets that come out for every major season release is basically a starter set, but with new teams. It's not as cheap as the starter set. Like, the actual starter set is very cheap, which is really good. That's a great starter point. But if you're looking at Underworlds right now and you see a box that's newer, older boxes, it's hit or miss because not all the boards are currently legit for Rivals mode. But for the most part, if you're looking at the boxes and there's like a newer one, like the current one that has Brotherhood of the Bolt or something, or maybe you want the weird hollow box that I have with the Ephelims and the like super caster storm cast people, you can just buy those and start there as well if you want those teams. And it's actually really useful. Yeah, we'll do this Caribbean blue, I think. It's not a common cloth color that I use, so I think it could actually look good on this. And we'll do all the paper. But for Kill Team, I don't know, man. I kind of like how they work now, but it would probably be super useful if they did have a revamped buy this box to get all the basics and then go. Because right now they have it sort of separate. They have like all the tokens and stuff in a box. They have like just different things in different places, I feel like. And then you don't get a team, which is probably the worst element of it, is just like you can't just one box play, right? I think that's maybe a problematic point with Kill Team at this like impasse, is if you were getting into it and you were like, do I just buy the Nightmare box and I can play? It's like, nope. Nope. You can start with the Nightmare box if you want the teams, but then we got to get you a board that you can play on. We got to decide which board you want to play on. Do you want to play close quarters? Because you can buy the boarding patrol box. Or you can just buy like a regular box with the regular size stuff. Or you can just buy the Lisinopril mats that they have online. Like, it's a little bit more... It's a little bit more open. You can buy your tokens off of Etsy, or you can buy them off of... buy them from Games Workshop in that starter box. Like, you can't just one box the opening for Kill Team like you can with Underworlds right now. Kind of makes Kill Team its own monster. I feel like there's a lot of people at the local store near me who bought into Kill Team recently, but when I say they bought into it, they bought the teams. They have the standalone little codex rulebook for the team, and that's about it. Like, core rulebooks, they don't have. They're literally just getting into it, and they don't really have a grasp on the full scope of the game. I don't even know if they have tokens. And that's a little bit of a problem. Although the more recent boxes have like their own versions of the token cards in them, because it's like you get the tokens that matter for the teams a little bit, as well as the missions in the book. So that's kind of cool. I actually do really like the direction some of the stuff is going for Games Workshop involving quick reference cards. Quick reference cards have been a wonder for speeding up the state of play in this game. It's just so good. That was a very good change, I think, with these new boxes. Although I imagine, like, the solo boxes haven't come out in a while, and I think it's because maybe they're trying to decide whether they want to put the quick reference cards in with those boxes or not. I don't think they're going to. I think they're going to just leave them as just units. Which, that sucks. I'm going to have to layer paint this up with some lighter blues. Like, on one hand, yes, because new players. Like, you always have to assume new players who, if they're coming from just, like, general tabletop games, the gist of general tabletop games is everything you need is in the box. It's just a way that they view how the game works, right? Like, oh, yeah, everything's in the box. I don't need to worry about it. But Games Workshop gets weird. And I like why they get weird, and I like the results of them getting weird, which is usually really cool third-party markets for stuff. Like, if you guys have watched any of my battle reports, you've probably seen the 3D printed tokens that I use, which I love. I love those tokens. You've probably seen the magnetic unit tracker device that my friend uses that is actually sold out, I think. You have to find the guy he got it from and then request it custom, I think is the way it works at this point. Like, you have to contact them and be like, hey, I knew you guys did this at one point. Is there a way for me to just order straight from you guys for that? Maybe. But third-party market components for Kill Team are actually really cool. Yeah, like I think the units are just going to come out straight. Kill Team's getting adjusted to the point where the boxes coming out are just releases of new products for 40K, which is important. It heavily pisses off the people in 40K too. I've heard the conversations of people who are like, God damn it, I just want my Scorpions. Why aren't they out yet? Why? And I get it. It is a bit obnoxious. But I also think that if it wasn't this way, where we were basically just the testing ground for releases of new model types and new unit types, I don't know how much longer Kill Team would be really supported. Because even though people seem highly interested in the product and the gameplay mode, and a lot more people are getting into it right now, I still feel like the cost effectiveness of it is not where it needs to be. Like, there's a reason why they were actively trying to add, like, the specialty units, like the Blooded and stuff, with rules to 40K. It's because they wanted people to have to, like, clear shelves. Because the Blooded are cool, but not everyone was into them. Kill Team is very much like a fighting game, where you look at the fighting game, and you think to yourself, I like this character, I will play the game, right? So you get your one character and you play the game. And then there's a few people out there like me who are like, I love all of these characters, I'll get the game. And those are the ones that, you know, Games Workshop likes. They love those people. But for the most part, you got the people who are like, I bought Gellerpox and I'll never buy anything else. It's like, oh, you can't really hold a brand up off of that type of thing. Yeah, there's people waiting on the Night Lords, the Scorpion resculpts. I know there's at least a few local players who love Hearthkin, so they're waiting on the Jaegers. Mandrakes. I know I've got some Dark Eldar players in the area who were super excited about the new Mandrake models, and they still can't get them. And Mandrakes are hyper useful for scoring in the main game, just because of their extreme levels of mobility, to my understanding. Like, it's one thing if it's a flex model, right? Like, it's one thing if it's like, oh, I collected Blooded because they look cool. And it's just like a little flex model. It's another when the bulk of your strategy revolves around the unit type. Like, Scorpions are massive for Eldari right now because of their scout. The fact that they scout and the fact that they're actually not bad in combat, like, they're actually pretty good. They'll tie up a unit for a little bit. They might actually cut that unit's power down before dying. They're good. No, yeah. I've got so many boxes of kill teams right now. The local group that's like, we're getting into it, and we have our one team each. And I'm like, all right, let me know. Let me know if there's something you guys want to try to play against. Let me know what your group's running so that I don't bring something equivalent. So I can actually bring something that makes you like a little weirded out by the possibilities of kill team. You know, I want to keep you guys interested. Sounds good. Everyone swung in, chilled, talked, and then went to work. The story of my live streaming on YouTube life. Painting some scrolls, painting some scrolls. Aged scroll painting, super easy. Paint the scroll white. Hit it with Skeletal Horde. You've now aged the scroll. Although if you want to get gross with it, hit it with a flesh tone. Like a really dark flesh tone. You could probably get away with doing like the demonic flesh stuff, like that really light purpley flesh tone. That might also work. Almost out of beverage. I go back to the fridge, grab some more. Let me lay the green onto the staff. We're going to have to pick some feather colors here in a second. Oh. This thing is so awkward to paint, man. I'm trying so hard. kind of want to try out the purple. The Jirachi shade. I need that for something soon. Pretty sure I pulled the shader out because I found it and was like, yep, need. Oh, Dragunov. Dragunov might actually be better here. Forgot I had Dragunov. I think we need a actual brush. We're not really pin washing this. Because right now the screamers on the end of this don't really have a lot of shaping. So I think hitting them at least internally with Dragunov shade will give them a bit better of a feel. Because that's all it's about. It's about looking at it and feeling like what you're looking at actually has form and shape. And the light colors and the glossiness and the shine take that away. So we tap some Dragunov. It's good when you get like a serendipitous choice like this. Yeah, Dragunov will just give it that much better structure while not losing too much of the peak coloring. Thank you, Dragunov Shade. actually being kind of a badass. I keep forgetting it's a shader. Like, I knew there was a blue shader. I just couldn't remember what it was called. And then I just happened to have it. Working wonders. Because now you can actually see them better. It's great. Low effort, high results. Thus is the Kimmerix way. Time is it? Because I do gotta leave, or I do at least have to hop off at like 2:45. Got a little bit of time. Pick some feather colors. Hoping my white paint holds out a little bit, or my white primer. So we have so many freaking endless spells to paint. I think they're all going to be baseline neon and fluorescent. Because, I mean, they're spells. Why wouldn't they just be made of light? Hoping once I get these base colors down, though, I'll have a bit easier of a time dealing with some other stuff. Specifically some layer renders. That shouldn't be so bad. Feathers, feathers, teeth. We're definitely going to tip highlight the teeth and blue horns and stuff. feather color time. A lot of colors have been used here, which makes me not want to do like blue or purple. So we might do red. Actually, no. Doomfire. We can hit it with Doomfire and Magenta, and then we can probably do like a tap of red at the base to sort of make the one end of these feathers like a bit darker. I haven't used Doomfire in forever though. Such a good magenta. So much of me wants to just be done these flats. Get into a little bit of the layer painting, get into the basing. This is so close to done, man. So close. I don't want to speed up because I don't want to cause errors to happen. But at the same time, Doomfire Magenta, so good. So good. We're gonna have some highlight layers in the form of a light blue, a mid blue, a pink on all these tentacles. I'm actually starting to think that that's all gold in there. with the application of gold over top of that, the flats are kind of done. I gotta figure out what I'm doing with this back here though, with the teeth. Need to think of something. I kind of have an idea. Just get this gold down first. I think I have an idea. We're gonna pro acryl the middle. And I'm gonna do it in neon. And work it up that way. We'll do kind of an overall chartreuse. And then once that dries, we'll try to hit the teeth with green. That way it's like a kind of like a brighter center with the teeth still visible as what they are. I need to let that dry. We can start working on some of the layer paint. Let me pull out Bahamut and Lothran. We're going to do Lothran on the horns, not just on this guy, but on the pink horrors as well. But Bahamut, or Baharath or whatever, we're just going to peek. I'm going to switch over brushes. This one really isn't the best layer. It's more of like a edge highlight or pin wash brush. Catherine on the horn tips. Just go to the Games Workshop Warhammer community site. Go to downloads, AOS. It's all free. Every team is up there right now for index. And the core rules for Spearhead, quick reference, as well as the actual cool rules for all of AOS are just right there. You can check teams. You can check how they work. If you're looking for how teams kind of play and interact, just know that a lot of the death teams are extremely powerful feeling. But there are some pretty good teams that aren't part of death that do have like different elements built into them that you can kind of like read into it a little bit and be like, oh, I see. Just definitely check, I'd say, because there's some teams that honestly nobody expected to play the way they do. Like Fire Slayers are basically Necron, man. They just come back. They just keep coming back. Which is wild. Alright, let's get the beak. Horn tips. Like, even though Disciples of Tzeentch don't feel that great, just in general compared to a lot of the teams, I've done some stuff with them. Like, I don't feel massively gimped against a lot of the teams outside of the death teams. I know I have options, and I have a horrifying amount of damage output potential. So... next tier of music. Okay, so the blue highlight's in. Where's Bale Red? Ball. Just do a little bit kind of close to the top of the feathers. Do a layer paint. I think we'll do pink. Not Fulgrim. Familiar? Emperor's Children. Where's my familiar pink? Pink Horror. That's probably good. It's semi-related to what's going on here. I think I want to do a dark purple on those tassels. And I think we move into gemstoning, honestly. Because we're right there. This is a Christmas song. I just caught that. Yeah. Start with a dark purple. Then we will move to a lighter purple. I think I'd want to skip straight over top of Gene Stealer and then go straight to Cacophony. While it's still a little wet. gemstoning. Which means we need shining silver. What up, Arturo? It's going good. We kicking it. Oh, actually. Where's my... If we can quickly get this done, that'd be good. Ah, there's short truce. Completely forgot. Yeah, man, he's coming together. It'll really look good once the basing color goes on, because he's really bright overall. But, I mean, if you've probably seen me paint my desert basing up till now, you've probably seen how dark the basing gets. Which really, like, helps out a little bit. So we do short truce on the book, wait for it to dry. And then we do green on the teeth. That way it looks like a really bright center. It's just like absorbing stuff. Yeah, get this to a point. All the gemstones are definitely on the disc. Maybe a little bit on some of his armor clasps. But the gemstoning is definitely up there in importance of stuff to try to pull off. I don't think that's a gem. I think I'm okay with that not being a gem. There's actually not as many gemstones as I expected on his disc of Zinch. It's mostly just multi-toning metal. I thought this was going to take hours. I'm not going to lie, I thought this was going to be a bit. What time is it? 2 o'clock? We might actually get this mostly done before I gotta go. And then I'll just take home the endless spells. Put way too much silver on my palette. No. Wasting silver. I kind of want there to be more gems here, and I know these are like long, but maybe we'll just make them gems. I feel like most of the gems we're going to use are going to end up being red or green. Not a lot of blue. Green. Put it on the teeth. These guys? The demons are definitely way faster to paint than cultists. Mostly because of the methodology I use. The methodology just makes them super easy. But cultists are the ones that I painted. They're obnoxious, definitely. Now, actual cultists are crazy obnoxious. Like, they're so bad to paint. Because there's so much variation on model to model in terms of like size and armor. It's just like, it sucks. It actually sucks. Let me do red for the most part. We'll do some green on some components, but for the most part, I think we lean into red. Red gemstones. I'm impressed that for my flamers, I remembered how I did the first 3 flamers. Like, they look exactly the same. It's great. I assumed it was how I did it, so then I just did it. And it worked. Are you doing like actual cultists, like the proper cultists? Because yeah, that sucks. I absolutely hated going through all that with the Chaos Cultist kill team. Because I just had a box of Chaos Cultists, and when they were announced, I was like, oh, this will put me ahead. So I just started painting them. And I feel like that one squad took me like a week. Because I actually tried. I did all different flesh tones. I did all this crazy stuff that I probably shouldn't have done. Oh, you got the older ones that look more like soldiers? I feel like those were a little bit more uniform, which might be okay. Because the variation is what got me. And then technically, if you have those, you have their leader. That might be the problem, right? Because that flamethrower guy is a leader now. Or are you using him for something different? Because I feel like if you go that squad, you've got the leader, but then you don't have enough cultists. Which means you have to kind of like find a cultist somewhere else. Sort of like phoning a friend. Oh, it's not the flamethrower one? From the cultist box? The firebrand? Seems odd. Nifty. Let me get the Warp Lock bronze out. But yeah, cultists, the newer cultists are obnoxious. Just because of the mono posing and all the different elements. The ones that have like replaced arms and different style guns and different layered armors. They're definitely one of the squads that leans into the problem a lot of people have with where Games Workshop's gone with their models, making them like hyper detailed for what feels like no reason. We get it. You're capable of printing crazily good friggin' models. Cut it out. Some of us have things to do in the day. The hell is my Warp Lock bronze? It's my favorite freaking metallic from the Citadel line. Where are you? I used it so much these past couple days. The hell is this song? Skip. Also skip. No, yeah, dude. Character models, they're supposed to be the centerpieces. I think this is where Games Workshop's going wrong with their character designs and model designs. If you want to give me, like, crazy detailed Lords of Change and then basically this for Pink Horrors, I'm fine. This I like. But when you're giving me, like, 10 layered frickin' regular units with like so many crazy components, like every single one of the Legionary I painted, oh my god. I think I found it. No, it's Golem in Flesh. Why Golem in Flesh? Gotta start pulling out the Argos Dunes, because we're about to have to do some crazy Argos Dunes works. Zamasi Desert, if I can find it. There it is. Like, I used Havoc body models for all of my Legionary because they were Iron Warrior, and Havocs are crazy multi-layered units. But, like, you see that, and you do it, and you use it, you're going to hate yourself. That's the only result to using stuff like that, is being like, wow, I really shouldn't have done this. Even though the result at the end looks great, you're still just like, that's time I can't get back. Dude, I have no idea. Oh, wait, nope. Nope, that's not it. Where the hell is... Oh. Got it. Chaos Trim, I'm kind of okay with. Like, I'm kind of okay with it. The trick with Iron Warrior trim is that since Iron Warriors are silver, all you have to do is get a contrast that converts it to brass. Which, snakebite leather. So you're mostly just trimming with snakebite leather, which is really cool. Like, everyone that sees my Thousand Suns are like, man, the trim you painted, that must have sucked. And it's like, I didn't paint the trim. I painted the panels, sir. I refuse to paint the trim. Alright, let's get into it. Let's get the big brush. Let's bust out the Argos Dunes. Let's do it up. Don't catch me lacking on some frickin' trim painting. Behold. The epic results of crackle paste. It looks so beautiful. I think I've gotten into a pretty good pacing structure for how to paint. To the point where it's like, if someone were to tell me, hey, I need you to paint this model, and I've never painted it before, all I gotta do is look at how it's built. And all the different sections of it where I'm like, I would want to paint this color. I would want to do it this way over here. I feel like I could easily organize myself into like an assembly style to be able to paint most guys now from like all factions. Because with Chaos, you're really in that mode of just like, all right, let me leave the capes off of all of these things and we'll paint them later. Or you have that moment of like, I want light to be important here, so we're going to OSL it, which means we are going to want to paint the whole thing. And since there's some hard to reach places with the airbrush, I'll assembly paint step 1, and then I will OSL step 2 after re-gluing it all together. Like you kind of get it at that point. You're just like, yeah, I got this. This is easy. I'm really feeling it. Are you saying my microphone's popping again? I can never be too sure. I'm always worried with this microphone. Can't wait to get the other one over here. Honestly, with how this is set up, I could move the microphone that's currently being used on the other side of this table over to here. I'd have no issues with it at this point. Because the microphone I'm bringing back is going to be my main mic that goes on the other side. Oh, okay. Can never be too sure. The crackle paste that dried for this actually dried so well. There's this huge crevice across this middle part here that I'm really happy with. Just need to be a little bit refined here. Oh, the crackle paste. Crackle paste, oh, I'm getting used to it, man. It's good. At first it was rough because, like, I crackle pasted a ton of basings for a lot of people. And I felt so good about it until I got to the part where I was painting, and then the moment my brush touched the base, like, all the crackle paste parts fell off. And I was like, well, I don't know why people online said it's really good. Don't quite understand that. And that's when I looked into it, and it's like you have to prime, you have to like make sure stuff is decently put together and ready to go for it. You have to like prepare the surface. It's like, oh, okay, I did none of that. We're still chugging along, still doing good. Good on timing. I also have to make some decisions for my Gene Stealer cults. Because there's another box of Gene Stealers at my local store. And I feel like I don't need more than one Dynamite squad with a Primarch in it, or a Primus. So I could go 3 Pure Strain squads. Which I almost think that's the reason. That's like what you want to actually go. It's just 3 full Pure Strains. Because those things are absolutely horrifying. I didn't expect them to do so well without a Patriarch leader in combat, but I took them into combat and I was wiping out squads. It was so good. So there's a chance we might put together some more Gene Stealers. I might make an adjustment for my list. I kind of want... I need, like, basically the Gene Stealers, a Patriarch, and a Biophagus. If I can get all of that together, I think we'll be fine. It's okay. I like it. I think there's elements in it that are great. There's functions that are great. Again, this time around, I feel like something that Games Workshop is doing that's kind of different to a point where it's pissing people off is that the new codexes that come out usually aren't more powerful than indexes. Sometimes they're even like downgrades from the index. But, like, that's kind of a good thing. But I keep seeing videos all over the internet every time a codex comes out that's just like, this codex sucks. They broke everything. Nothing's as good as it was. Blah, 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 blah. And it's like, okay, I get it. You really wanted your codex to drop for your favorite team and for it to be completely imbalanced until the next codex came out. Just like all the old systems. Like, that was the old system. A codex comes out... The team it comes out for is now the strongest team in the game until the next codex comes out. This is such a dumb concept that doesn't really play well in long term, just because of how annoying it is for a lot of people who only play like one team, aren't planning on collecting teams for all the factions. You're wanting to do okay at tournaments, but like you can't because new codex came out. Now you're going to lose to whatever that was. And it's obnoxious, and everyone, well, a lot of people hated it, but now that that's happening, like, in 10th, we're getting the new codexes, and they're not busted. They're just not busted. And it's pissing everyone off who was kind of hoping they would be, I guess. Like, a lot of people are like, oh, sisters are bad now. I don't know. They still do well. They're still good in tournaments. It's just different. GSC, the one I'm playing, I like the idea of. It's actually really cool. It kind of is a throwback to the old system of the game that one of the systems at least that I liked, where charging gives you +1 to your attacks. Like, there's advantage to charging outside of just fights first and stuff. And it's like, ooh, this is cool. And that's kind of my team now. They're not incredible. They're not amazing. They've got enough tools in the toolbox to deal with things like vehicles and stuff. It's fine. They have very scary units. There's ways to build them that are genuinely horrifying. But that's, like, about it, right? Like, there you go. They're not perfect. They're not the best. They're just different now. They drastically changed the resurrection on them, which I agree with. Resurrection is a very oppressive rule. But I think they can be fun. Almost every detachment in that book I look at, I go, oh, this could be fun for someone. This could be enjoyable. Oh, you like jackals? There's a detachment for you. Oh, you like neophytes and going kind of horde neophytes with some leaders? There's a detachment for you. I want to get in close with some aberrants, which means also going pure strain gene stealers as well. There's a detachment for me. Oh, you got a lot of Imperial Guard, and you want to do an Imperial Guard ally list? Well, the old Imperial Guard ally list was the same as most allies, where it's a quarter. The new one is half. So you can do half and half. And there's actually a lot of value in that, because there's a lot of... The built-in function is like crossover fire, where basically shooting at a unit with one faction improves the other faction. Which is kind of cool. A lot of synergy there. The thing is, there really shouldn't be a reason for them to be salty. You get salty and competitive when, like, your livelihood can be built around it, right? Like, get salty at Magic the Gathering because there's prize pools in Magic the Gathering that are usually worth like thousands upon thousands of dollars. So easily get salty if you lose a Magic the Gathering game, because, I mean, your quality of life can change winning and losing those tournaments. That does not happen in 40K. It doesn't. So I do not know why people get as salty as they do about the competitive side. I don't even think it is actually about competitive saltiness. I think it's more power fantasy would be how I would put it. It's the prospect of, I want the army that I enjoy to dominate other armies, so that when I go to tournaments, or I even go to like a casual match at a local store, I'm like, oh, cool, you're playing Sisters? That's good for you. Enjoy this loss that I'm throwing at you, because power fantasy. I'm playing the power fantasy. It's happening. Hive Fleet. Neat. Are you going for Meta Hive Fleet, which is just Gene Stealers, or are you going to try to have fun with it? And maybe filter in some Warriors or Gaunts every now and then. Surprise some people. Gaunts get weird with some of those upgrades you can give them. They just like do some surprising burst damage. That close range like equipment they get, the 3-inch frickin' mini grenade thing. Ooh. I feel like there's a rationality behind someone converting a bunch of Nid stuff into like Gellerpox. I think you could get away with doing like a Nid Gellerpox team. Get some warriors on bases that all look very unique for each of the Hulks. Ooh. Oh yeah, that's the LVO list. He mostly used Steelers the whole game, to my understanding. He mostly used Steelers, but he had the rest just in case. There's no reason not to take the rest, because if you see a moment where you're like, ooh, Warriors would be great here, then do it. No reason not to. Because Warriors are good. Warriors are scary. It's just the 2 APL sucks with them. That's horrifyingly bad. But their passive abilities and team abilities are almost on par with bespoke teams, so there's really no reason not to think that they might do well. Dude, Acid Mods are crazy. Warp Coven's hard. Like, it's so tricky with Warp Coven, because Warp Coven requires the person playing them to be insanely good, but it also requires the person they're playing against to make a mistake that can be easily capitalized on. The razor's edge of being able to be good with Warp Coven is so high, which is why I like them. They have all these cool functions. Oh yeah, you can post them if you want. If you're already on the Discord, I think I have to give you tier 1 access to post. If you're not already on there. But yeah. You can always drop them on there. I was debating waiting for Malstrain Gene Stealer boxes to drop separate so I could finish out my Gene Stealer cult army. The detachment I'm running is Abominants and Gene Stealers. I'm pretty sure we're getting a Malstrain Patriarch, which I kind of want the Malstrain Patriarch. I think that'd be cool to run. The current Patriarch looks good, but Malstrain Patriarch just feels a little extra. There should be a minis gallery, right? If you're done them. I mean, if you're in the process of finishing them, there's mini whips. There's a whole gallery section, kind of halfway down. Minis gallery, mini whips. Mini whips. It's cool though. I kind of want to try to get to a kill team tournament. I've been doing a lot of 40K tournaments. I could have gone to one in New York City, but they told me about it like 2 weeks out, and I was like, dude, I can't schedule around this now. There's no way I can figure out a good way to get there and everything. Especially because he wasn't like, I can get you a hotel and stuff. Instead, he was like, I'll pay for your food and I can tell you a good hotel to get. And I was like, oh, dude. You want me to try to get a reservation at a hotel nearby? I don't know, man. If you post in mini gallery, don't forget you have to put a tag next to it or it won't let you post. I kind of set that up so we had an easy way to find stuff whenever people post things. 2:30. I got about 15 minutes before I really need to bail. I got a telemed doctor's appointment today. 3 o'clock. So I gotta get ready for that crap. It'll take like 10 minutes too, which sucks. I hate my endocrinology specialist. He's limited everything down on how to like diagnose for stuff to just like 2 numbers on a blood work and nothing else. He has no care about anything else going on. Whereas my last endocrinologist was like actually looking at a ton of stuff and making minor changes was actually helping a lot. And like getting back on track with some things. But then he died. Sad. Now the new one's just like, I don't give a shit. Here's your blood work. I'm gonna make some adjustments to your meds. Game over. It's like, cool, thanks. Absolutely useless. All right, Argos Dunes. Mini whips. Yeah. Ooh, that second one. The second one looks nice. Who's messaging me? The game room is... Oh, the store is being forced to move. Oh, no. Oh, Jesus. I'm guessing they're trying to downsize the storefront. That sucks. Yeah, I saw. Second one looked cool. Second one looked cool AF. And then you just have ones that kind of look like Space Marines bursting out as Gene Stealers. That's cool. I think the only Gene Stealer-y NID conversion I've done, my Primus for my Gene Stealer cults is a Gaunt Tar. He has the lower half. The lower half of his body is a Gaunt, and then the upper half of his body is just a Gene Stealer cultist with a sword. I used the free mini of the month that they did for the Gaunt from forever ago. I used that one to kind of give him his legs. Thought it was cool. It was a fun idea. Gontar. Zangorhorns, I think, make for great Gene Stealer spikes. They're just so twisty and circly. It would be interesting to get a stealth suit kill team, like a proper one. I think we came up with the idea where it would be a little bit closer to how the Gellerpox work, where their equipment is mostly about getting like there's something about it where you basically have to choose between a handful of different drone types to put on the field with your team. That way you can kind of like custom make the on-field team to match kind of what your opponent and mission is a little bit, to give yourself a little bit of an edge. And like the drones aren't really about weaponry necessarily as much as they are about like other stuff. Could be kind of cool. Make them feel more like that special forces Tau unit that's meant to do a job. That's not just like, hey, let's go shoot stuff. More like, hey, we need to go find this. And, you know, do that while a war is going on around us. No, let go. Stop licking his base. Might actually be able to varnish these guys before I leave. Not really raining today. I actually really hate this icon bearer, because I think the box that I normally use might not, it might be as tall as that. That is just a ridiculously tall icon for no reason. It definitely won't fit in the box I've been carrying my Spearhead around in. But I'll have to use like the other box that I have. I'm actually a little concerned because I know the last time we were here, I wanted to show you guys the heads that I got printed for my Emperor's Children conversion concept. The all-female glam rock band situation. Didn't see them. So a lot of my Kill Team content stuff's on hold because it's all over here where I'm at right now, where I'm trying to get all my projects done and painted, because I have a lot of stuff I want to get finished so that I can have access to it for games, events, things to record, things to talk about, and all that stuff. So like, we're putting a lot of effort into painting while we're here. But I'm helping my parents with the sale of their house. So normally I'm staying at that place, and they don't want me to bring any of my stuff over there. And so that means all the things that I have for recording purposes and B-roll purposes for my actual videos are here. When we're done projects for streaming, I might get to the point where we don't stream anymore, and then I just come over here to record. Because it has been a hassle to sell this house. Every single person who has apparently put in bids for it have bailed in one way or another, like within a short period of time of claiming their bid. It's actually super annoying. So like, I can't record, but I have a whole list of things that's like how to kill team this, do the scouts, we'll talk about these rules, we'll go into this thing. Like, I have so many squads that I can do the overviews for, that I just have to be here to record it and go over all the rules and stuff, and it's super annoying because I really wish I was doing that right now. But also, I needed to finish my Soul Forged. We needed to finish these demons for eventual AOS games. We needed, like, so much stuff needed to get done. So much stuff needs to get done. But we're getting there. I mean, granted, we're always adding projects on top, too. Like, I just got all of those endless spells that we now have to work on. Because they're insanely hard to get your hands on. It's crazy, too, because I picked them up at the tournament yesterday, and I was like, yeah. And then I was talking to everyone about how they're usually always sold out because everyone at that place has been checking because they also want some of the universal endless spells. So they're constantly checking to see if the box is in stock, and it never is. And the store owner was like, really? That box is never in stock? We were like, yeah. He was like, huh. Because he walked into the back office and walked out, and he had the box. But I was like, oh, dude, I could have just bought it. I've been talking about it like every time I've been in here, and you never seem to have it. And he was like, no, this isn't for sale. This is the box that Games Workshop sent every single store to paint one endless spell out of, to show people in examples if they come in looking to understand the rules. You paint the model, you show it to people, and then you're like, yeah, that's how that works. But then, like, they don't have boxes to sell for endless spells. It's one of the weirdest things ever. And so the assumption is that the reason why, like, there's none in stock right now is because Games Workshop sent a box to every single store that exists to paint one. And just one. That's the thing. You only paint the one, and then you leave, like, the 10 others in the box. Unbuilt, and you can't sell it. And he was like, this is the second time they've done this. He had a box that they made him paint one out of, so he did. And then he had nothing to do with the rest of the box, so he just threw it out. Because, like, they're kind of strict with you giving away sample stuff to people or trying to figure out how to sell sample stuff to people. They don't want you to do that. So, like, malicious sorceries is just hyper rare. I might have to bail sooner rather than later and then finish painting these off stream. Yeah, I'm gonna have to go soon. Because the doctor's office I'm telecommunicating from, the telemed system, every single time we've done this in the past, I don't know what's wrong with their system, but it doesn't actually send me the link. So I have to call them and sit on the phone and then eventually get them to email me the link. Super annoying. I don't think there's a way that I actually finish painting all of these base rings before I gotta bail. So I almost kind of want to do it now. Let's get this guy done. But yeah, demons basically finished. Endless spells, I'm probably gonna go home with them and build them tonight and tomorrow. That way I can have them to paint. The idea is that they are going to mostly be airbrush work with maybe a little bit of brush detail, kind of like how these blue horrors worked out. Or pink horrors. So yeah, I gotta get moving. Because I gotta figure out where the hell my cell phone stand went. So I think I'm gonna try to use that today. But yeah. Till next time, guys. Maybe Thursday. You know, pay attention to the Discord, pay attention to Twitter. I usually, if something's coming up and maybe I'm getting a video together, I'll usually talk about it there. Thanks for hanging out. Thanks for talking. Thanks for chilling in chat. Till next time, guys.